Guys, it has been so long since I've recorded a video. It's actually been like 6 weeks. I know, it's crazy. Sorry that I've been gone for so long, but I'm stuck in a hole. You know what? Dragon Ranger 414, my son and trusty sidekick, has been messing around with my redstone world. Why? Because I haven't been here, so he's been taking advantage. Okay, as you can see, I've been a little bit busy in this world building a whole bunch of stuff. And there's a reason for all of this, is because I'm going to demonstrate to you the next step in building redstone. We had a nice discussion on power components. Now we're going to move on to our next category called transmission components. Power components, just like the title says. Hold on, let me turn down this music a little bit. That's better. Power components, just like the word says, transmit power. And the first thing we're going to talk about is this little thing here called a redstone repeater. Now, a repeater is a very simple device. I'm going to show you guys actually how to craft one. Let's just grab a crafting table. Let's bring it over here. And let's pop it down. If you want to craft a redstone repeater, this is what you need. You need stone, you need 1 piece of redstone dust, and 2 torches. Now, the concept behind a redstone repeater is that it is a component that not only transmits redstone power, it also enhances or boosts a signal. Just like a repeater in real life. If you guys have ever bought a repeater for your house, it takes your Wi-Fi signal and boosts it. That way you can extend your Wi-Fi signal throughout different portions of your house. You can place a repeater basically anywhere where there is an opaque block, and it's turned on by any power component. Anything that gives redstone power will turn on a repeater. And there's 2 sides to a repeater, which is very important. When you look at a repeater, there is an input side, which I am pointing to right now, and there is an output side, which I am pointing to as we speak. If you take a look, you can actually make out the fact that there's an arrow pointing in that direction. Let me lift up a little bit. I'm going to outline right here with my cursor. You see this triangular shape? Yeah, that's an arrow. That's pointing to the input through to the output. Now, the reason why I have this set up is because redstone repeaters not only transmit signal, you can also delay your signal. Here we have this crude demonstration where I've set up a lever with redstone dust, which transmits power, over to this redstone lamp. When I walk over here and I turn on the lever, you know what? Let's do this at night. Well, I guess there's already light out here, but anyhow, when I turn on this lever, we get an instantaneous redstone pulse that's carried by the redstone dust over to the lamp, and it turns on. One more time. Ready, go. Right away, right? Now, this is a repeater that is set to no delay. Again, just as if it wasn't there, we're going to turn on this component instantaneously. Now, if I were to move it back a tick, it literally delays the signal carry by a tick. So if I turn it back on, have you noticed the difference? Possibly. Let's take it a step further and try 2 ticks. Now do you see the difference? Watch this. Okay, turn on, little delay, turn on, little bit bigger delay, and finally, 4-tick delay. This is very, very useful in complex redstone contraptions in which you need signals to be delayed for 1, 2, 3, or 4 ticks in order to get them to work in concert with other portions of your build. Now, another important concept is the concept of signal strength. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Why have I put down 15 pieces of redstone dust? Because I'm about to show you that a redstone torch emits a redstone pulse with a signal strength of 15. This redstone dust can carry this signal all the way to the 15th block. On block number 16, there's no signal. You see that number 15 is activated, number 16 is not. However, if I were to place a repeater here, we have now taken this redstone signal and we have extended it for another 15 blocks. Block number 16, no more signal. Once you place a repeater and it receives a redstone signal, even if it's a signal with a strength of 1, it will repeat your signal. You can keep on going forever as long as you have repeaters. So not only does it transmit redstone, not only does it extend your redstone signal, but it also gives you the ability to dial in delays. This will all be very, very important in redstone builds. Here's an example of how a redstone repeater can be used in order to introduce a delay. I've got 2 note blocks. These note blocks are actually sitting on blocks of gold. The reason why is because note blocks actually change the sound that they emit based on the block that they're resting on. When you put them on a gold block, it makes it sound a little bit like a chime. So this is meant to sound like a doorbell. If I were to set this redstone repeater basically to have no ticks of delay, this is what it would sound like. Okay, you get that? It's because the redstone signal is being carried into the first note block. The block is activated. The repeater takes the power from the activated note block and repeats it, carries it on to the next block, which is another note block, and it activates it. Now, if I were to introduce a 4-tick delay, you get something that sounds a lot more like a doorbell. Once again, 2 ticks, 3 ticks, 4 ticks. See the difference? And this brings us to our very first real-life redstone build. Yay! We're going to get to see what goes on now when you know how to build redstone. Let's say you've got a house. My example of your house is this simple, very poorly built, not imaginative at all, wooden wall with a door. Let's say this is your front entrance of your house. Hopefully you guys are better builders than I am. And you want a doorbell. Well, turns out that a door can act like a redstone component. So you can't actually put this button right next to the door because then the door will open because you've activated the door. But if you move 1 block over, you can place a button. That button will power the block adjacent to it. That block happens to be this empty block, but it's not empty. It's got redstone dust on it. That redstone dust will transmit a redstone signal into this first note block. That note block will then activate the redstone repeater, which has been set to a 4-tick delay, and it's going to transmit the redstone signal over to the second note block. And we're going to have a fancy schmancy doorbell for our house. Watch this. Oh yeah. Well, you see the sound is different now because there's nothing under those note blocks. So one more time. You want to come in? You ring the doorbell. Now, you have all this underground. It's like nothing ever happened. You have a home, you got a doorbell. That's all you need to know. Now you cover all of this. and you have yourself a nice doorbell. So it turns out there's a little fault in my design here. Um, when you cover a note block, it actually doesn't make a sound. Yeah, so that's one thing. The other thing is if I were to place a block of grass in this corner, I'm actually blocking the transmission of the signal from in here down to this next block. Oh. Anyway, you get the point of the concept. We just need to change up the design a little bit in order to get this thing to work. Okay, I have redone my design. This is my new makeshift house, and we've placed a button, and we've altered the design ever so slightly. Now, the redstone signal is being carried from the activated block, which is this block that has the redstone on it, transmitted down the side over to this note block, which is now recessed an extra block down so we can cover it. And then there's a 4-tick delay on this repeater, and the next note block gets activated. Now, you got a doorbell. You can go ahead and cover this up. And no one is the wiser. Now you got a doorbell. See that? Very nice. Woohoo! Our first working redstone build. I'd like to say I'm proud of myself, but that's pretty simple. The last thing that I'll tell you about repeaters is that, like I mentioned before, the direction in which you place an input and then an output comes out is very important. So it's important that you place them in the right direction. If I were to reverse this, it wouldn't work because it's expecting a signal to come in from the input. There's no signal coming in because there's nothing there. Now if I turn around and I place the block in the direction it's supposed to head, we've got a good working redstone circuit. What is all this junk? Man, Dragon Ranger was really messing around with stuff here, wasn't he? Let's see what's going on here. Does this do anything? Well, observers detect a change of state in the block, right? I think somebody's experimenting, but not quite there yet. Next, we're going to talk about a really cool component called the Redstone Comparator. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can use a comparator. First, let me show you how to craft one. A comparator is crafted by placing stone at the bottom, 3 redstone torches, and a piece of nether quartz. Nether quartz can be a little bit hard to come by in some, especially multiplayer worlds, but you know, it's what makes the game challenging, unique, and fun. That's how you make a comparator. Now, what is the function of the comparator? Well, a comparator has several different functions. First of all, there are multiple sides. Unlike a redstone repeater that has an input side and an output side, a comparator has an input side that I'm currently pointing to, and an output side, which I am now pointing to. But it also has other input sides on either side of the comparator. And these are for what we call subtraction and comparison. There's 2 modes. Right now, I've switched it over from comparison mode to subtraction mode. What does this mean? There are two modes to a comparator. There is comparison mode and there is subtraction mode. Currently, you see that this redstone torch is off. It is in comparison mode. Its job is to read the intensity of the redstone signal at its input and to output that same intensity. For example, we have a redstone block. Redstone blocks generally emit a redstone signal with a power of 15. That means that this block has a signal strength of 15. This one has 14. This one has 13. What we are inputting into the comparator is a signal strength of 13. So the output on the comparator is now going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We can go out 13 blocks before we lose our signal strength. It takes whatever is given to it and outputs it, unlike a redstone repeater that takes any signal and turns it into a signal strength of 15, where you can extend for an extra 15 blocks. Now there is also subtraction mode. As you can see, we have another input coming in from the side. If I go ahead and right-click this comparator, you'll see to my right that the signal strength just decreased. When all three redstone torches are lit, it is in subtraction mode. Remember, we currently have an input on the comparator of 13. Now, we've got another block of redstone here. It's giving us a signal strength of 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So, in the input, we've got 13. On the secondary input, we've got 5. It's currently in subtraction mode. So the output is going to be the input minus this additional input. 13 minus 5, we should have a signal strength of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Signal strength of 8. That's what subtraction mode does. It allows you to take a secondary input, subtract that signal strength into the output. Another useful tool of a comparator is that it can detect how full a container is and emit a redstone signal consistent with the amount that it's full. Now, I'm going to try to place a table into this tutorial. Which is called a comparator output table. You can find it on the wiki. It basically tells you for each type of container that a comparator can read, how many entities you have to have in the container for it to emit what level of a pulse out of a comparator. For example, we've got a chest that is completely full of gold blocks. If I look at my comparator output table, I can tell you that there are 27 slots in a chest. If you place one entity into the chest, it will give you a power level of 1. If you put in one stack plus another 60 items, it will give you a power level of 2. Let's try it. Right now, we've got an empty chest. The comparator is doing its job. It's detecting that there's nothing in the chest. The second that we put one item in the chest, we get a signal strength of 1. If we want a signal strength of 2 inside of this chest, we need a stack plus another 60 items. So we literally need a stack plus 60 more, and we get a signal strength of 2. If we add another item, we still have a signal strength of 2. We don't go up to a signal strength of 3 until we get to 3 stacks plus 55 items. Now we have a signal strength of 3. If I were to fill up the chest again, and you can read the output tables, we get a signal strength of 15. And again, if you go into subtraction mode, you should be able to take a redstone signal from somewhere else and subtract out the amount going in through the side with the amount that was in the input. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned to you yet about comparison mode also is the following. If I were to enter a redstone input into the side that is greater than the redstone strength of the input from the back, it will not transmit. For example, redstone torches generally emit a signal with a strength of 15. If I were to take, excuse me, pardon me, rich man coming through, if I were to place a chest and have, let's say, what is this, 9 stacks? 9 stacks in a chest are basically going to give you a signal output of 5. So right now I've got 5 going in the back, and I've got 14, right, because this is powering this to 15. Actually, this is probably 15. And we've got a signal strength of 15 coming in from the side. In comparison mode, it's going to read that this strength is bigger than this strength and not transmit. Whereas in subtraction mode, now, again, I've got a signal strength here of, if I look at the output table and do some calculations, we're going to get a signal output of 14 because I need a full 27 stacks to get 15. So right now, we've got a signal strength output of 14 this way, right? Is that what it shows here? Yes, that's 14. This would have been 15. This is purposely there to show you that it's off. Now, if I were to drop a wire, let's say, over here, I'm in comparison mode. This should give me a signal strength of 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. 8 is not big enough to turn this off because this is 15, right? Sorry, 14. Now in subtraction mode, it's going to take this 14, take away this 8, and give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that right? I don't know. I'm not sure if I did my math right, but you get the point. An activated block, i.e. any block that has a redstone torch under it, is going to emit a signal strength of 15. A minecart with a chest on it, when it sits on a detector rail, is also going to give you a redstone signal once it activates the activated rail. Right now you see a signal of 1. Why? You got 1 item in here, 1 lonely item. As I continue to fill this chest, you'll get a bigger signal. Hoppers. Hoppers emit a redstone signal as well. When you fill this up, the more you fill it up, the more of a signal you get. A cauldron full of water emits a redstone signal of 1, 2, 3. An end portal frame that has an Eye of Ender in it can transmit a signal when you put a comparator in front of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. A full signal strength of 15. And a jukebox. Guess what? When it plays a song, depending on what disc is in it, different amounts of signal will be output. Right now, I've got a music disc, and it's playing Ward. Ward actually gives you a signal strength of 10. If I were to play a different disc, like Chirp, I'd get a signal strength of 4. Cat gives you a signal strength of 2. So depending on what disc you play, you can have a different redstone output. Okay, that's enough of that. So I think this is where we're going to end it today. It's been kind of a long episode. I'm going to edit this. It's been a while since I've put up any episodes, and I'd like to get this one out. I had a great time, and I just broke the jukebox. So we will see you later. Bye-bye.